So I'm gonna start actually from this number 2. So what does this number 2 represent? There are two main goals for majority of startups. And those two goals and those two main milestones that company is that every single startup and every company business is jumping around and is mostly focused on. The main two mysteries are finding product market fit and making your business profitable. So those are the two major milestones that I guess everybody here has already seen and or is maybe a founder or a CEO, which is working on enabling their startup, to actually achieve product market fit, and then afterwards, after you achieve product market fit, that you want to make your business profitable, scale it, and so forth. So anyway, to cut things short, what is product market fit? And we usually know all these metrics that if 40% or more of our customers, would be disappointed with our product, we all know this story by Mark Anderson from like 15 years ago. If more than 40% are disappointed, or 40 or more, then actually you've hit product market fit. Otherwise, you haven't, which is a bit odd, right? Then there's another kind of explanation that your customers are recommending it through word of mouth. Then the usage is growing as much as your capacity, and you're focused on hiring customer support and sales. So basically, you are focused on scaling your startup. You're no longer focused on figuring out what do your customers need. And there are other suggestions by Andrew Chan, for example, from like also 11 years ago. I guess most of you have seen this. One of the best ways to get good product market fit is to find a good market, which really sounds odd, right? Especially since most of us are here into mapping. So how do they define this market? Like a lot of demand, a lot of growth, many users, and so forth. So these are all metrics, right? So these are all metrics like how many users you already have and how do they react to your product and do they like it or not. But does this, how can we actually come to this point? Like how can we come to a point that we actually can achieve product market fit in a sense that we, come before that? Like what are the steps before that? And the most traditional product market fit approaches were, I don't know if most of you have probably read the Lean Product Market Playbook. Even if you didn't, like you can summarize it in this kind of 6 steps, like defining the target customer, identifying underserved needs, and so forth, building then an MVP, and then testing and doing lots and lots of interviews. And you will also sometimes see that at the end, you would sometimes see these grand scale customer journeys, like you have this customer journey map where you have where you basically you have these various stages where the customer can visit. How do they feel when they open up your product? What do they what are their thoughts? What are they trying to do? I mean, if you want to kind of zoom in, these are basically the start and the end goal of these customer interviews. And like, I mean, I'm just simplifying most of the stuff. Like this actually takes a significant amount of time, and I'm simplifying it in like 2 or 3 minutes, or 2 or 3 sentences. But this really, like, at the end of any kind of customer, not any kind, but like at the end of most of these traditional customer or trying to figure out what's the right product market fit and how do what do we need to do to satisfy our customers and to achieve this level of 40% of disappointment, which I really dislike. It's like a negative metric. At the end, we end up somewhere here, where we have like a customer, we have this list of activities, we have like basically a graph of customer needs, and then set of components that satisfy those needs. And these are all great, and these kind of really help us visualize and understand what are the components and activities that we are actually doing here, and what is it that we're actually trying to build, and what are the features that we need to build to satisfy these needs. And these are all really good. But for example, which one should we build? And which one can help us with this product market fit? Should we build the features that are mostly focused on this activity of a customer? Or maybe some other? Like in the case for Spotify, should we focus on the listening scenario and where the customer is listening? Or should we maybe focus on streaming. We all know now, for example, that Spotify went into podcasts as well. Like, so how do all these choices, how do all these features actually correspond to our choices that we're making? So that's actually the topic of this lecture, which is finding product market fit faster with WardleyMaps and Belacans. Who am I? My name is Alexander Simovic. I come from Belgrade, Serbia. I run, the WardleyMaps meetup Belgrade and JavaScript meetup here in Belgrade as well, and serverless one. We do a lot of product mapping challenges. I created this battle camp, which is like this open source WardleyMaps workshop. I'm an AWS Serverless hero, wrote some books, so forth. And anyway, mostly, if I could categorize myself, I would say I'm a product builder, and that's about it. But anyway, so how do WardleyMaps help us with achieving this product market fit? And how do we solve this kind of problem? So, we all know that Simon will tell us, draw a map. And at the end, that does actually look like this. But yeah, if we really draw a map and we actually map our components, which we are using, which we're actually trying to build using these custom activities and needs, we are actually coming to a point where we can now, on a map, figure out which ones should we build. Should we build outsourced ones, or should we build the custom built ones? Which ones should we build? So maps actually do help us in this case. But anyway, what are these main issues? So besides, like, compared to maps and compared to using WardleyMaps, what are these main issues that people are actually having when they're building, when they're trying to achieve product market fit without WardleyMaps? So I mentioned the first question: how do we know which features to build and which features should we outsource? And the risk here is reinventing the wheel. So, for example, in majority of the companies, in many companies which I worked for, most of the cases and most of the needs that the customers and users and that the main stakeholders actually want was like, we just want to achieve this need, and we just want to satisfy this need of a customer, like providing a list of like, for example, purchase orders and displaying them for our customers, or displaying a list of transactions that the customer has. But they wouldn't ever even think of, hey, we don't care how the engineers build it, you just do it. Then engineers come over and say, we'll use Kubernetes, what could go wrong, and then they would spend literally half a year or 6 months trying to build the best possible, technical approach. How could they deploy their application? How should they deploy? How should they, should they maybe use EC2s and so forth? And they spend significant amount of time, like 60% of the time, building features which actually they could just outsource by, for example, utilizing serverless or utilizing some other, no-code solutions or something like that. So this risk is actually commonly achieved, and basically this actually prevents companies from focusing on the right product features and right needs that we want to achieve in order to achieve the product market fit. So that's one case. Second case, focus on majority of our products is mostly on the current needs, and mostly just like addressing what is the need that the customer currently has, without even looking at like what are the practices of the customer. As, for example, you have this red queen effect, that if you do not evolve along with the practice, you will definitely lose and go behind your competitors. Then again, applying the one size fits all. We all know this kind of situation where Airbnb, Booking, and Booking.com, and many other kind of startups, started achieving, like, they broke even or raised huge rounds. I know, manicure or pedicure. Or let's build a platform for over AWS. So there are things. We're actually trying to basically, as Simon would say, copy over recipes from the media and trying to figure out what are they doing and how are they doing it without looking at what's actually happening in the market. So how do we apply these WardleyMaps to kind of product market fit, and how can we utilize them? So one of the first cases, like, you can actually use a WardleyMap for your product market strategy to actually product market fit strategy to see what is actually coming. Most of you, I guess, have already seen some of Simon's lectures, and you know the whole process of like the evolution of Genesis, custom built product, and commodity and utility. Come back to the original theme is you can anticipate which direction is the market going, and then based on that, you can build solutions right on time when you actually really see where is the market in this case. When is the market ready for this prototype solution? So besides features, customer practices co-evolve as well. So not only your practices and us developers and product managers, designers, our practices evolve as well. So for example, I guess all of you know, I can actually move to the next slide and show you, like all of you know this this slide and this map that Simon actually shares, which is like in how actually a commoditization of the compute, Lambda has actually pushed forward and forced the coevolution of the practices of good architectures. Anyway, what you can also see with WardleyMaps and how you can help your product market fit, how can you gain product market fit faster, is by understanding inertia and customer change. So as Simon usually mentions that you have a lot of, and he is right, you have inertia on each and every one of these phases. And one of the biggest ones that, for example, we recently had, and one of them closest to me, was the serverless age, where with the appearance of Lambda and the whole world, the usage of the word serverless, we came to a point where there was Oracle, there were other customers which were like, we don't want to learn new stuff. They had resistance to change. So with WardleyMaps, you can actually predict when certain evolution takes place, what is the level of inertia that might happen. By using maps, we can actually focus on the things which are really necessary. So for example, as I was saying previously, if you're trying to build a product, you should not try to rebuild your data server. That's not the service. That's not the market you're in. You're really trying to build features that will address the direct customer needs. And the closer those features and the closer your components are to your customer needs, the better product market fit you will achieve. But anyway, these are just kind of minor things. So how does that actually look in reality? And let me give you a small kind of abstraction over that. So I don't know how, I guess this is very tiny, but this is actually a very simplified way of how did we, within the Belgrade WardleyMaps Belgrade community, build and develop some of our maps for some specific products. So what we would do is, again, start with the customer, define their activities, also define higher order customer needs, which actually the customer has in order to do those activities. Because, for example, the reason why somebody's writing a purchase order is because they want to process a payment. So that's actually the higher order customer need. And then after each activity, you will have a list of customer needs, which are only related to that activity that the customer is actually doing. And then based on those, you would actually build specific components, map out specific components which will address those needs and the underlying WardleyMaps per each of these features and per each components that you're doing. As you can see, there's a lot of maps here, but you're not going to have 500 at the end of maps. I mean, you will at the beginning you will have 500 maps, but later on, if you analyze and kind of trying to compare these maps and the features that you're building, you will at the end up with a single map. So where you will actually notice, and this is how we actually do it. So we would actually create a single WardleyMap with these abstracted sometimes features and components, and we would and the way we focused on this specific on how do we achieve this right product market fit is that we would also try to see what is the evolution state of each customer need. You actually can get there faster with WardleyMaps because of first you can anticipate future evolution. Second, evolve your product with your practice evolution. Try and figure out that not only there is practices, but there is also knowledge and other components like data. Everything evolves in your system. So if you can try to anticipate how are these components evolving, you can actually predict where the market, not to really predict like a crystal ball, but you can predict where the market is going and build features exactly in the right place and right time when your customers need. not only that, but by focusing on the customer needs, you can easily discover what are the higher order customer needs that the customers have. And in that way, you can actually try to see what is the bigger problem the customer is trying to solve, and even though they're trying to solve the current problem with their activity, or like which is, I don't know, building a purchase order, sending an email or something like that, or maybe figuring out how to reply faster. I don't know. There's a bunch of things that customers are not doing. Anyway, but can we get there even faster? And this is a topic which is very close to my heart, because in the Belgrade mapping community, one of the main questions was, so we're all learning mapping, right? And we are trying to become better at product building. And the problems which we had was, we're going to learn mapping, we're going to build some products, but even if we did that, it would still be slower than, I don't know, people within Amazon, or some departments within Amazon or Netflix, or some other companies which have been using mapping, or the UK government, which have been using mapping for a very long time. They already have seen it in practice, they have seen the effects, they have the experience. And if we wanted to build products and compete on the marketplace with some of those people, we would mostly lose. Maybe not immediately, but you would still have this kind of time and experience gap, which still exists on the market. And how do we get there faster? And the question which I had was, how can I help my friends and my colleagues and co-workers and team members get there faster and gain more experience faster and understand, for example, product market fit faster? And well, we developed a couple of exercises and tools to get faster. So we introduced product mapping challenges and battle camps. So what are these tools? Like, what are these product mapping challenges? And how do these help us with product market fit? How do we get there faster? So the goal of these product market challenges was, first of all, to practice situational awareness. And the second most important goal is, how do we improve our understanding of the product market fit? And what are the other people trying to do in the real world? And how can we gain this real world Wardley mapping experience through, I don't know, real world examples? So we had 2 exercises and 2 challenges. The first one is 30-day product mapping hunt. Second is 20-minute challenges. So what is this 30-day product mapping hunt? And how does that help product market fit? So the goal, so each year, like this happened actually last year, is we would have a kind of like a sign up within the community where people would commit that in 30 days, they would go from no idea to launching a product hunt campaign using WardleyMaps, applying customer journeys, jobs to be done, and really focusing on the most underserved customer needs. Basically what it means, you would have no idea which product you would build. You would choose an industry within a week or map out some industries. You would focus on you would try to figure out in which state is the market and the components in the market. And you would try to analyze and see whether there are some strategic gaps, where there are places where you can try to build and try to develop a product in. And at the same time, commit when you actually figure out that product to actually, in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, up to 30 days, you would first build a landing page, completely, write the copyright, write everything, set up your email, sign up, basically make some sort of a PR FAQ, like a press release that Amazon would do on their website, that you actually build a landing page for your product actually inside, and launch it in Product Hunt. And this is basically like jumping into the icy cold water. So you would go from nothing to actually have a landing page and a sign up for this product that you have figured out and you wanted to build. In case you figure out that there's a lot of attention around it, that customers want, that users are signing up, that you're asking questions, you could continue to build a product. If there isn't, we'll just drop it and delete it. So the reason for this was with mapping, we do a lot of we draw a map and we analyze what's going on, but without actually committing and building something very simple, just a simple web page, with nice content and figuring out design and what are the keywords and what's the product you're trying to build, and you're basically selling the product. You're committing to a real world experience and understanding how do the users react. And by the way, at the same time, you have to figure out what are the channels of communication that the customers that you're trying to serve are having. So you can't just, put it on Product Hunt only. You have to figure out what are the communication channels within the tribes of these customers inside the real world. So for example, if you're trying to build it for, farmers, you're not going to put it in Product Hunt and just say, hey, this is a tool for farmers, because they don't use Product Hunt. They would maybe use some other, some newspaper or a local newspaper or something like that. You have to figure out the whole process and the whole communication channel, in order to actually build this in 30 days. And you would have peer-to-peer mentoring within the community, so you could build it yourself or you could build it with someone else. And at the same time, you would only focus on the most unserved customer needs, because you're not going to try to overcome, some serious farming giant in 30 days. You'll try to figure out a specific, using a Wardley map, you'll try to figure out the specific strategic gap where you could actually build your product. Where is what are the customer needs that are underserved? So you would actually have to do a lot of research and a lot of analysis for that. Anyway, so this is the one exercise. We can talk about it afterwards if you're more interested about it. Second one is the 20-minute challenge. So the 20-minute challenge are, as you can see, like 20 minutes. These are the small pairing exercises that we would do over a cup of coffee. So a group of us, 5 or 6, would meet either on, right now we can even meet each other like physically, but previously we did virtually, where we would say, okay, we want to practice and try to understand other people's perspectives on the products that they're building. And we also want to learn product mapping, and we also want to understand where do our competitors stand with their product market fit, which are actually available, which are right now on the market. So what we would do is we would try to find the list of launch Product Hunt products, go over like in the previous few days or some days, or maybe in a specific industry or category. And we would, in that case, have a limit of 20 minutes that you would, in 20 minutes, open the website and have 20 minutes to understand, to read through the website, figure out who are the customers that this product is trying to address, what are the customer needs that they're trying to address. And you can figure out those mostly from the words that they're trying to use, and what are the needs of what are the keywords they're using, what are the call to actions, what are the descriptions that you're trying to say, what are the features, and what are these features trying to solve. So it's 20 minutes. I know it's very short, but the point was quickly analyze, write it down, draw a simple map, draw a single customer journey, and try to practice. First, you're trying to practice your situational awareness of quickly understanding what's happening. Then your brain is starting to filter out what are the most important things. You're no longer focused on like, oh, what did they really use this word or that word? You're actually just filtering on the most necessary things. And then by understanding the customer, you would try to figure out what are the user needs that they haven't addressed, or like within this customer journey or a single customer journey that they're having. Or maybe how would you improve on that? I know this is 20 minutes and you might say it's too long or too short. But the point was, if you do like 5 of those or during a day, or we would meet, and what we would do is we would, like, a group of people would do the same product. They would do 20 minutes separately, simultaneously. And then after that, there would be a judge or a person or someone from the community which would take a look at those and share it with everyone and say, you see, John, actually, he focused mostly on the customer needs around the customer activity A. and while Jessica focused mostly on these features that they're trying to build. And for example, she figured out that they might be using serverless. So these are the things that these are the things, and these are the approaches that they would have on this on this exercise. And what's really important is you would throw away at the end, you would throw away the map. So you would do maybe 3 or 4 of these 20-minute challenges. And what happens is you would also switch to different industries. So you would have the width of understanding of quickly switching contexts and quickly switching the industries, trying to really focus on what are the most core important needs. And you would actually start learning quickly what are the common customer needs that usually products have. And then by comparing your experience and your map with other person's experience, you will see different perspectives, because not every one of us has the same perspective. For example, I've done this exercise on one workshop maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago within a company which they wanted to learn mapping a bit, and there were 5 people that were building the same product, but 5 people that came from 5 different perspectives. Some were focused on the infrastructure, some were focused on the customer need A, the other one was focused on the customer need B. But at the same time, all 5 of them knew in which exact position was the service they were providing. But they came from different perspectives, and at the end they merged their maps and understood how each one of them looks at their product, and then they could communicate and actually, as Simon would say, use these combined maps or the single map to actually communicate even their preferences, even their intentions. How do they see? And then they will also see whether they should focus on these commoditized components in the second perspective, as you can see here, or they would focus on the first one. So, and what's most important is, at the end, the whole group of those 5 people, they actually figured out something new they could build, and at the same time, they basically just challenged each other's assumptions and actually reached a better product market fit that actually happened. So they built their product and it went really, really, really good. Anyway, to focus, collaborative. So product mapping challenges really help with these bootstrapping exercises. Particularly if you're trying to build a startup, they can actually help you see other people's perspectives, and at the same time help you commit. Maybe someone want to ask a question. Anyway, I thought I heard something. Anyway, so you would try to quickly understand what makes a good product market fit, and these compressed, time-limited exercises really help your brain focus on what's most important. You're no longer scattered around like, oh, should we build this or should we do that? And our brains, you can't sit 5 hours on a specific topic. You would do like 30 minutes or like 20 minutes, 10 minute break, 20 minutes, 10-minute break, and then do a review. And basically, you would have these small, intense trainings and small, intense exercises, and this is how you could actually do the same thing for your actual product, where you would actually do the same training within a specific feature or a specific segment of the market that you're trying to reach, and then join up with the team, do separate exercises, and see how you view the same feature. So product mapping challenges, in this case, really helped us sharpen our focus on these most underserved needs, because if you really focus on those, you are most likely to reach product market fit. Now, the next thing is actually these WardleyMaps battle camps. So this was actually one of the first workshops first tools that we built internally inside the WardleyMaps Belgrade community. Basically our goal was, how can we compress our experience faster, and how can we kind of defeat it? You all know this Amazon anti-justice statement. There is no compression algorithm for experience, but that was actually a challenge for us. So to figure out that there is a compression algorithm for experience with the battle camp. So the goal of the battle camp was, how can we compress this experience? We figured out that we can collaborate and compete in this team versus team environment, where it's actually safe and people, can actually play around with it. It's a simulated and safe environment. You can actually see what are these wrong decisions. So how can they affect cost and product market fit, for example. You would actually enter a role of different companies, and then you would, for example, team A would go into a company which is like a startup in the field in the same market, and team B would be an enterprise, which is they have lots of inertia, lots of buildings, lots of kind of old school kind of principles and technologies, while maybe startup C was the fresh new serverless oriented company which was like building solutions, so like super fast, but they have very limited resources and so forth. And basically the goal was gaining experience faster in these time compressed turns and to learn the unknown. And in this case, the unknown was, how do the other people behave? And so this is the structure. So 2 or 3 teams, or 3 to 5 people. Each team would be a startup and a company, and there would also be a judge panel. You would have your own resources. The terms would be done simultaneously. Each turn is 5 minutes, and you would have resources in cash and this time points. There are also variations on that topic. Like it can be a bit easier that you don't have cash, only time points, and you would make certain moves, meaning you would build a certain feature, evolve a certain feature, and so forth. And in general, it would take 4 to 5 hours in total. And this is how it would look like. I mean, I have some videos somewhere which I should put online, but you can see that, for example, each team would have their own Wardley map and their resources and time points. They could steal each other's members. So, for example, you could say, we're not going to do anything like in next 2 turns, but we will get Andy from team B into our team, because this is what actually happens in reality. And at the same time, these teams would be mostly random. They would have to write their own maps. So they would have their scenario, and they would they would have a description of where they are at, but they would have to draw their own maps. And during every turn, they would hear from the judges some news. So what are these news? These news actually represent that the moves that the other people have made. Meaning, for example, the team A, they invested into a new product, in 5 turns, because they, some things take 5 turns, because for example, each turn could be a quarter. So, a certain feature or a certain product that you're building might take, 6 months or 9 months to actually build. And then when the feature gets built and announced at the same time, then the other team would hear the news that the team A has actually, their product has announced feature B. And then they would have to either catch up or try to evolve or try to anticipate where is the team B going. So through their map. And they would still have to do that within the 5 minutes and make a decision whether they will invest in A or B or C, or build their custom built component, or build a new, or address, or actually commoditize some lower level infrastructure case, or a higher level. So anyway, this is how a battle camp works. They're all in separate rooms. They don't hear each other. The only things they know about each other are like the news that they're making, and they know the resources. The team of judges announces the resources and tells them the amount of resources which they have. They can also take some loans and that kind of stuff. But then they would, have a reduction of income. So each turn they would get some income, and the income is based on also the market, the market share that they have, and the market share is defined on the product that they're building and how much they're pricing the product. So, for example, each team is selling a specific product on a specific price, and they have the same cost. So they will also have to understand what are the costs of their services, which is also written in the scenario. So basically, you would also have to write a capital flow for within a single map and understand what is the cost of each and every component which you have in your system. And if you want to evolve, then you have maybe further incentive to evolve a component D or component B, which are in the product space, because you want to maybe adopt a commoditized component. You don't want to manage it yourself. There's also now the battle camp. So this is the basics basically, but battle camp also has one product fit focused mode, and this is called all against one. So this is a mode within the battle camp where we only did it once, because it's a bit the only problem is a bit tricky, because in a sense the person who is involved into this needs to expose their strategy. But anyway, what happens is you have several people against you. You have resources in those people have resources in cash and time points, but you are the only single person that has a Wardley map, which you are showing on the screen to the other people. The other 5 people are competing who is going to make and who is going to make the best attack, which will kind of destroy your product, or kind of try to discover what are the weak points. Mostly are 10-minute decisions, 2 hours the whole kind of workshop lasts, and there's simultaneous turns, and everybody's in the same room at the same time. But the only reason why this is a bit tricky is because it needs to be completely private in some cases, so there needs to be the possibility of an NDA. So how does it actually look like? Something like this: they would sit in the same room. The person, like for example, I can say Linda is showing her Wardley map and showing how is actually what is the customer need that she's trying to solve with the product, what are the features that she's building, and what does she plan to do next. And then other people in the same room would actually have specific resources, and they would actually be companies A, B, C, D, or E. Like, I don't know, they could pretend they're Google, Amazon, or some smaller startup, and then they would say, I'm a company B, and I'm going to invest like 2 million into kind of commoditizing the product that you're building. How are you going to defend? Or maybe they won't do that because maybe the market is too small. But anyway, the whole scenario works that you are so you're basically showing your actual product market strategy, and other 4 or 5 people are trying to attack you or trying to devalue your strategy and trying to figure out what are your weak points. The reason for that is that, I mean, nobody's going to actually do that out of those 4 or 5 people that are there, but they're actually trying to prepare this person to anticipate some competitor behavior and understand their product market fit on a map, what could happen, and at the same time they could understand the criticism, whether they might have or might not have a chance of reaching product market fit with the resources and the strategy that they're having and the features that they're building. So basically, this is the main point: understanding the weak points that you have on your map, in your strategy, understanding where you should go and what you should build, and what kind of behavior should you anticipate on this map. Of course, Amazon can enter any kind of market and destroy virtually anyone, but you can actually predict their behavior and based on the patterns that they had in the past. And this kind of exercises, they kind of might hurt your ego, but they will help your product and help you achieve product market fit faster. Because when the group of 5 people come, and most of the time they should, in this case, they should be mostly people who have tried to build something, then you will, they will actually help you understand your landscape more and help you provide their perspective in your product case. So, anyway, so yeah, battle camps in this case really helped us learn how to anticipate our product market competitor behavior. And I'm not going to be bothering you with any more of this. So I'm just going to, kind of share this slide where, we as a team, like we kind of, our product market fit really got faster and within the whole team. So one of the main goals of the WardleyMaps blogger community is actually to help people build their own products, to actually not just work for others, but at the same time work for themselves and like enable the community to actually grow by itself, so that each and every member should at least do once the 30-day product mapping hunt, and do many of those of exercises. And I must say that some of them really built their products. For some, I can't say, I'm not allowed to say which one, what are they actually, what are they releasing, what have they released, because as we all know, Wardley mapping is an advantage, a strategic advantage. But really, it really helped us, in our case, reaching the product market fit faster through these exercises that we did, and by applying and really using WardleyMaps on every possible stage there. And really focus, and WardleyMaps really helped us focus on these components which are really needed for our customers, and figuring out in which stage and which state was the evolution, in which evolution state was each of these custom needs. So thank you. Now we can go to questions. Let me see. Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, awesome. All right. If there are any questions or there aren't any questions, please, please let me know. Thank you, Christian. Anyway, if someone, Mark asks, how can you join a battle camp? So there are multiple ways. So one of them is come over to Belgrade and we'll organize one for you. But so another one is, I think, use through you can contact me directly, or you can also contact Mark Craddock directly, and we can organize some in case you want to do something within your company. The only thing is that you should, like, if, for example, if you want to organize one, you should at least attend two, because then you really get the perspective of how you can do those. The community events should always be free. That's kind of the general approach. But the one which, if you want to do something for your company, if you want to organize one for a company, you can charge for that and that kind of stuff. That's kind of totally free. Anyway, I don't know. I hope this. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is it. I think we should go to the next session. In case you have some questions, reach out to me on Twitter. My nickname is Simalexon, so anyway, you can find me. If you want to do a battle camp, if you want to do some map mapping exercises online with us, or if you want to come over to Belgrade and do something together with us, feel free to do that. Yeah, really happy to help out. All right. Hope it was helpful.